In this video, I'm going to show you how to do a clean version of a pop-up. So at this point, you should have done the practice pieces. So now I'm going to show you how I did this, where I actually hide the tabs and what that actually looks like. So I'm going to take this blue piece of paper, and this is what I'm going to cut my horizontal V from. So the first thing I'm going to do, actually, I don't know what the first thing I'm going to do. I'm going to cut it out this way. And it doesn't matter how big you make your glue tabs, as long as they're big enough to actually hold. So I'm just going to use the width of the ruler, and this is going to be my glue tab. And then I'm just going to draw a, I don't know, you know what, I'm not even going to draw it. I'm just going to go right into cutting it. It doesn't matter what my shape is. Maybe I'll do a, big organic blob. And I'm going to cut that like that. So this is going to be my horizontal V. So that means I'm going to have a fold right in the middle. Actually, I should use a triangle for this. I'm going to go grab one real quick. Angles are really important. So I want to make sure that my fold, if this is the line that separates my glue flap from my object, I need my crease to be at a perfect 90-degree angle from here. Now I could, if I didn't have that, I could move my crease, but that means my glue flap would be 90-degree angles from that. So this line needs to be perfectly perpendicular to where my fold is going to be. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use the back of my X-Acto knife, and I'm going to scratch that surface so that my paper, you can see as I apply pressure, it folds right on that line. And then I can do this. From there, you just do that. And then this, you can also use a pencil to, it's scoring. If you had me for 3D design, we scored our clay pieces, which is similar to scoring here. So now I'm going to use this pencil, and I'm going to apply a lot of pressure, and that's actually pushing, that's damaging the paper, so that now it folds. It wants to fold right where it's been weakened. So just like the back of the X-Acto knife weakens it, pressing hard with a pencil, especially like a mechanical pencil with a sharp tip. So now I've got my glue tab and my horizontal V. So I'm gonna set that aside, and then I'm gonna take, so this is the piece that I'm going to glue it to. And now where do I want this? If I put it here, when it folds, where do I want it to fold? Right about there. So I'm going to put a dot on this fold, this middle fold. I'm going to put a dot where that angle is going to be. And you know what? I'll just go ahead and draw that. And now I have to make this angle the same. So with the horizontal V, I can make this as wide or as narrow as you got to have the fold, so I can't make it perfectly flat. Otherwise, it won't work. So there has to be, it's got to be folded a little bit. But I can do it a lot or a little. If you're doing a diagonal box, this has to be a 90-degree angle, because it'll be 90, then a 90-degree angle, then a 90-degrre angle, and a 90-degree angle. If it's not, if it goes a little bit wide or a little bit, obtuse or acute, it's going to affect the shape of the diagonal box. But like I said, this is not the diagonal box, so we don't have to worry about it. But I do need this to be the same angle from this center point. So so whatever this angle is right here, this angle has to be, so if this is X, this also needs to be X. So I'm going to use a protractor. I'm actually going to put a line there. So there's a little X in the middle of this protractor. So it's at like 50. It's hard to see because of the light. So that's a fraction. I'm going to change the angle. I'm going to have it go to 40. So it's going to be 40 degrees. And then I'm going to do that over here as well. So I'm going to get an eraser, clean up all my extra lines. Extend this line a little bit because I don't know how much I need. There we go. So now I'm going to take this and I'm going to take a look at, okay, so it's the shape stops here, that shape stops here, and I'm also going to, so I don't want to cut this line all the way to here. So I'm going to actually remove on this, I'm going to remove some of this glue tab. Because if I cut right here, it's going to be a flap. I want 2 holes. I don't want it to be one V-shaped hole that ends up flapping around everywhere. So now I'm going to line this fold up so that's where I need that. So I'm going to cut this line right here, and then on this side I'm going to cut this right here. And when I cut, I'm gonna make this incision a little bit longer. I'm gonna get rid of the lines where I'm not cutting, because number one, I don't want to accidentally cut too much. And I also don't want it to be visible. So I'm gonna make sure that I don't cut this too short. So I'm gonna extend a little bit beyond the line on either side. Not a whole lot, just a little bit. And if you feel like you need a straight edge, you can use one of the aluminum rulers. And now this should slide right in. And it does. Perfect. Clean this up a little bit. So now I'm going to glue these tabs, and I'm going to use rubber cement. I'm going to glue this side. Then I'm going to glue this side, and I'm not done yet. If you're doing a greeting card, if you're working on your own, you'll have to do this. If you're doing a book in a group, the front and back cover will do this for you. You will have to do you'll have to make a front. Front and back. So I'm going to take the rubber cement. I'm going to slap some on the inside here. I'm going to go along the edges too. And the nice thing about rubber cement is if it oozes out anywhere, I can just take my finger and rub it off, and it doesn't damage the paper or anything like that. It doesn't wrinkle anything. So I want to stay off of the binding. I don't want to put glue on the binding because there's going to be movement in there. So I'm going to fold it to make sure that it works. I'm going to press it. If I were you in class, I would give it a minute to dry, but it's 3 o'clock on a Friday and I'm trying to get out of here. So I'm not going to let it dry, and just hope that it works out. It should be all right. So I'm going to throw some glue on the edges. Make sure to get the corners, because that's where it's going to if you don't get the corners good, that's where it's going to start to peel up on you. And then of course, drop a little bit in the middle here, and then lock that up. And that's how you do that's how you do the clean one. So there's no visible the construction pieces are not visible, but you can see, like, when I open this up, the binding, there's a space there. That's going to happen. But lots of effort put into not showing any of my construction. So, like I said, if you're doing a card, like a greeting card on your own, you'll have to do a front and a back cover like this. If you're doing a book with a group, like when I glued the back of this to the back of this, that's where I hid my construction. My construction flaps are hidden between these two pages. I'm not going to tear it apart, but so that's then once you have the whole book, then you'll have to put a cover like I did on this. So I hope that helps, and if you still have questions, you can come see me. But whether you do the horizontal V or the diagonal box or the floating layer, the concept is the same. Make sure you measure, make sure your angles are accurate, and then hide all of your construction pieces.